Hi everybody, I'm Nihar Shah. I'm the Chief Economist at the DoubleZero Foundation, and today I'm excited to share with you some of the economics behind DoubleZero. So let's start with the high-level ethos, or the overview that underlies the whole DoubleZero economics philosophy. So let me begin by explaining the difference between DoubleZero and many of the other blockchain projects that have come before that. For so many other projects, blockchain is a virtual representation of the world. It's not something where you need to reckon with the underlying physicality. But of course, the network is deeply physical. Try to think of some examples, for instance, where validators might sit in London and other validators might sit over here in New York on this very poorly drawn map of the North Atlantic Ocean. We don't often think about that. We just try to improve, say, landing times and delivery to a validator sitting in London, or perhaps try and read back blocks emanating from a validator in New York. But of course, our location on this map also matters greatly. And so what DoubleZero is about is trying to abstract away, optimize and abstract away this sort of physicality to the most that physics, or to the maximum that physics will allow us. So let me be very, very concrete. Let's say that I am a user and I happen to be sitting in Miami. Right now, if the leader is in London, I of course have to traverse the Atlantic Ocean through whatever sort of slow public routing that may exist for me to get there, and hopefully deliver my transaction. If my transaction is included, the block then propagates and I get some confirmation back again with some amount of latency. This is all very, very inefficient. Now, of course, we can't change this underlying map. We can't change the distance between Miami and London, but what we can do is try and optimize that traffic. We can try and find the shortest path such that a transaction is delivered precisely to that leader in London, and if the transaction is included, the block comes straight back. And so DoubleZero is about that. It is about trying to take away the imperfections that overlay the physical world and try to boil them down to the minimum needed and abstract it away from the end user. Okay, so how does economics factor into this? Well, because this is a physical network, it has some strong differences from the virtual networks that exist on blockchain. In a virtual network, a lot of the functions are often entirely substitutable, fungible, homogeneous. If there is a well-performing operator sitting in London and a poorly performing operator sitting in New York, then we just simply move stake over from the poorly performing one to the well-performing one, and it doesn't really affect the underlying functioning of the blockchain. But of course, that's not true in the physical world. That if there's a poorly performing, say, link from New York to London, and a well-performing link from New York to Miami, well, these are now not substitutable. We cannot simply migrate traffic that used to flow over the poorly performing link to the new performing, or the well-performing one. They're entirely different concepts. And so, there is a lot of non-fungibility, a lot of non-substitutability, a lot of heterogeneity underlying the physical network that exists on DoubleZero. But DoubleZero economics is about taking that messy imperfections and abstracting it away for the end user. The end user, to the best of what physics will allow us, shouldn't have to care about where exactly they situate themselves. They only need to care that their validator, their network, is plugged into DoubleZero and they can relay traffic around the world at the fastest possible path that physics will allow. And so the DoubleZero economics model tries to incentivize high-performing links that do that abstraction correctly, that don't have a lot of imperfections, that take the shortest route, that handle a lot of traffic, that do all of the functions that allow a user to not care about where exactly they sit and where the Solana blockchain happens to be running or centered at a given point in time. It just allows the user to interact seamlessly with the blockchain with all of the imperfections under the hood.